Illinois.
South Dakota.
Oh, nice.
South
Dakota.
So, have you guys been to the Badlands?
Not yet.
Yeah.
This is our upside down Badlands. Please don't touch the rock though.
Upside down Badlands. What it looks like it.
So, are any of you guys into ghost shows, paranormal shows, stuff like that?
Yep.
Yeah, do you guys watch Ghost Adventures?
Yep.
That is my favorite show. They have nothing to do with the cave.
I like the Blacklist.
Yeah, that's my favorite show. My mom and I watch it like every single new episode. She's been getting kind of bored of the screaming rooms though. So, they did not come through our cave. But we did have a paranormal investigation group come through here, as well as a medium. This is actually the first room the medium stopped in. Please don't touch the rock. If I have to ask you again, I will have to ask you to leave the tour. Alrighty, so, the medium stopped in here. She said on the other side of this wall is a spirit. I'm sure some of you guys have been able to hear some voices. That's not a spirit. That's the other tour. That's our exit tunnel. So, there wasn't tours in here, so maybe she was right, but maybe what she was hearing is just people who've been through here. She said is the spirit of a mischievous child. I don't know about you guys, but if I was a kid, the way she said it was people are able to hear kids giggling and running around through there. If I was a kid in a cave with no rules and no one to tell me what to do, I'd be giggling and running around. So I think it's just a kid. I don't think it's mischievous, but I'm not the medium, so I didn't get a say in things. Alrighty, so it doesn't take very long to get to this room. Before I continue, consider our point of no return. Pass through, they won't refund your tickets. That's really all that is. I'm more than able to get you out of the cave if I need to, or if you want to leave, if you can ask her to the bathroom really bad. That one happens a lot. So, just before I continue, some other reasons, just because some people don't know, my last tour I had 19 people, and by the end I had like 5, because a whole family left after I said this. I promise it's not bad, they just didn't realize. The tour is an hour long. If you didn't know how long the tour is, you do now. So if you thought it was 15 minutes and you want to leave, that's completely okay. You just have to let me know. And there are over 400 stairs.
Oh, yes.
So there are quite a few stairs in here, and it is a bit of a longer tour. Is everyone okay with continuing?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So it doesn't take very long to get to this room, around 15 minutes. That's not a super long time. But for those kids in Hayward, it was 2 hours. It's a long time to be crawling. I don't know about you guys, but after 10 minutes of anything, I'm exhausted. I would not have done it. So those kids made it all the way here, and they had to be able to prove to their friends they could make it this far. They actually did that by carving their name into the rock down here. This is known to us as historical graffiti for 2 reasons. 1, it's historical, it's old. 2, it's actually kind of like graffiti just because it's now actually illegal to carve your name into a cave that is considered defacing a cave, and caves are nationally protected. But they didn't know any better back then because they didn't really have anything to know about caves. Right up here, this is Ben. Back there behind you, There's Tim right back there.
1941?
Is that up there?
Or what does it say? It says 1941 or 49, I think.
Oh, nice. Right over here, my personal favorite is CIA. I don't think it's the real CIO, sorry. But I don't have any proof, so who knows? It's actually estimated we have around 500 names in here. It's a large amount of names, and it's actually a pretty rough estimate just because we used to have, or not we used to have, people used to come down here and they'd carve over each other's names because apparently they disliked each other so much they had to do that, even though there was plenty of space down here to carve their names somewhere else. So it's kind of a rough estimate, but as I mentioned, there were around 500 people in Hayward back then. Once you had enough people in a town back then, you were given a post office that would have held your town roll. How many of you guys know what a phone book is? I have to ask now because some places they've stopped making them, so I get people who don't know what a phone book is. So, I don't think anyone actually used it as a phone book. I think most people used it as like a fire starter or a booster seat. Anything but a phone book. That's kind of what your town roll was back then though. That would have held, you know, who all was in your town and where you could find them. So, unfortunately, Hayward never got a post office or a town roll. This is kind of like their town roll, so we did name this room the post office. Now, there are a lot of other cool things in this room besides the historical graffiti, and that's some of the colors we have in here. Right over here, there's this yellow-orange. This is iron oxide. Do any of you guys know what that is?
Iron oxide?
Yeah.
I have always just called it iron oxide.
So, I once had a gal who was
It's
in
like
here.
rust.
It is, it's rust. I once had a gal in here who just spit out the exact chemical formula. And he's like, so what is it? And she's like, no clue. And that is what chemistry is doing for all of us right now. But it is rust. There's way more of it on my truck outside. Right up there above your heads, there's that red. That is Mississippian paleokarst. Any guesses what that is?
Also rust?
That one's not. That is petrified mud.
Oh.
Right up here above your head, there's that purple. That is called manganese. Manganese is just manganese. There's nothing else fancy for that one. But manganese will actually stain your skin for 2 weeks and your clothes forever. Super fun. We used to figure out which kids on tours would, yeah?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's a phone book?
A phone book?
Yeah.
That would have had everyone's in the town's phone numbers and the different places you can go and everything. They were really thick books. I think they were yellow. I haven't seen one in a while. Yeah, it was just a really thick book with phone numbers.
Okay, now I get it.
It was how they punished kids back then.
Oh yeah, that too. Actually, I forget that, like, I have a lot of friends that are like, yeah, corporal punishment was so long ago. I grew up in Louisiana, where it was still legal. So everyone else is used to it being, like, gone forever, and I did not think it was. But that manganese, we used to figure out which kids had reached up and touched it, because at the end of tours when we pass out stickers, they'd be caught purple-handed.
What?
Don't touch
I've
the
only
rock
heard of
or
red
your hand will
handed.
change
I know, that's the joke.
Oh, okay.
Over on that side of the room, there's that black spot. That's actually not natural to find in a cave. Any guesses what that one is?
That's people touching it.
That is, it's from the oil on our skin. That's why we ask people to not touch the rock down here. You're actually killing it, that it doesn't move the formations. So we do ask people to not touch the rock down here. However, if you're falling, please grab onto the rock. Some people hear that we say not to grab onto it and they just don't touch it at all. So they're falling and they could have very easily stopped themselves from falling. We would much rather have one of those black spots on our wall than a red spot on our floor. Makes it easier on everyone. Alrighty, another cool thing about our cave is it actually stays the same temperature year-round. It stays 58 degrees in here. So whether it's 100 degrees outside or negative 100, it's really nice in here, depending on where you're from. I once had a group from Miami who thought it was just absolutely terrible. They did not like it. They were like, this is cold. What's wrong with you? I lived in Florida for 4 years. That's how most people down there would react if it was below 70. I had a group from Florida today, and I said that, and they're like, yeah, 70's cold, and I was like, it's like 70 today. I don't actually know how hot it got today, but I think right now outside it's like 70. So I do have another quick spirit story before we keep going. The paranormal investigators are actually sitting right there on that bench where you guys are. We had 2 tour guides over there where you guys are, and they had a circular box in the middle of the floor with some antennas that ran outside of it and lights at the end of those. Those are made to pick up radio waves and electromagnetic frequencies. I'm sure a few of you have noticed there's no service out here, or much radio, or much of anything. There's nothing out here. You're especially not going to find any of that in a cave. We are too far underground for any of that to reach, but a light did light up, pointing right over to that stair. So all the paranormal investigators are like, okay, that's weird. If you're a spirit, can you point to the faces you recognize, since we had those 2 tour guides? And that light went off and the one pointing to the tour guides went on. So the spirits know what you look like. And with that, we are going to keep going. Alrighty guys, watch your head and watch your step for me. This is a chimney. It does naturally reach the surface in here. This is our second largest chimney in the cave. Those are how we get our airflow. That works with barometric air pressure. The air above ground pushes out the dirty air in here and pulls in the clean air. On the ground back there, there's going to be 2 holes. Those were originally known as the rogue room. That's because we had some tour guides go back there a few years back and they carved their names in there. It's actually now known as the party room because as an employee event, we had a tour guide sleepover. Where only 2 people showed up. They did not think it was as fun as everyone else did. Yeah.
What's this stuff on the wall?
So, what color is it, do you know?
It's like a reddish color, maybe?
That's probably some more of that Mississippian paleokarst.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be a lot of different places throughout the cave. If it kind of looks like clay, like this stuff in the middle, this is called Jeweler's Rouge. Alrighty, and then whenever you're ready to come back down, you actually go back out the same way you go up.
So is there a room down through there?
So there is, it does open up through there. So I've never been down there, but I know there's a space down there somewhere. I think the main reason only 2 people showed up, besides the fact they all knew the ghost stories, is that you'd have to drag like all of your pajamas and all of your sleeping bags and stuff through there, and then it'd all get dirty, and then you're just sleeping in dirt. I wouldn't have done it. You guys can take a breather if you want to. Just make sure you're 6 feet away from anyone you did not come down here with. Alrighty, so it doesn't take very long to get to this room from that post office. Around 3 minutes if I hadn't stopped in there. So, for those kids in Hayward, it was a whole other hour. That's 3 hours of crawling just to get here, and back then this is actually where the cave ended. This space over here behind me and that one right over there, these weren't here yet. So those kids crawled 3 hours to get here and then crawl 3 hours back. Super fun. Back then, you know, they did decide to stop and rest for a bit. They actually decided to stop and look for images in the rock, kind of like we do for clouds. So, we do have quite a few images in here. Before I show anyone any images, I do want to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. It's right up here. Here's its eye. Here's its ear. Here's its trunk. Below our elephant is our cave bunny. Here's his head. Looks like he's on his hind legs.
Can't even tell.
Below the cave bunny is a cave squirrel. He's got a pretty bushy tail. Looks like he's holding a nut. Over here above me, and the joke I'm about to make isn't mine, so if you guys don't find it funny, I promise it doesn't hurt my feelings. This is our duck's foot. Legend has it a duck was walking and he stepped in a quack. Yeah. Super awesome joke. One time, I had all of the parents laughing. The kid was like, "You suck." Given the whole way through the cave, every single room we stopped in, the kid walked up to me and looked me dead in the eyes and went, "You're bad at this." And I was like, "Okay, thanks." There's a really good boost of confidence. Back there on that side of the cave, there's our cave pig. Oh, some people say it also looks a little bit like Alf. No, I've never actually seen Alf. I've been shown a picture by one of our managers, and he told me Alf is an anteater. Apparently Alf is an alien, whose name stands for alien life form. Not an anteater, he eats cats. So if anyone sees a guy named Kevin in a black polo shirt with a name tag that says Kevin, make fun of him, because I'm not going to tell him he's wrong. Alrighty, my personal favorite image is going to be over here on this side of the room. This is our caveman. He's got a bald head, some sunglasses, and a goatee. If you count this right here, he kind of looks more like Guy Fieri. Right here. He also kind of looks like the pea in VeggieTales.
To the wall.
So there is a giant hole there with a fence. That's actually there because we're trying to get a second staircase. The reason is this staircase right here, not only do we go into this next room on that staircase, we also leave it from that staircase. So we need a second one, that way we're not bumping into other chores. Because as you guys will see in a minute, either we go down there first, and I have to make a bird sound to make sure we can go up, or they come in this room first, and then we all have to wait. And so we need a second staircase. We have been digging since December. The guy who dug us to our next room, it took him 2 days. However, in our defense, Yeah, he was only digging enough space for him. We're digging the whole staircase. That's a bit more difficult. He got to leave his dirt in here. That is some good historic century-old dirt that is from the 1920s. We carry our dirt out in 5-gallon buckets. 5 gallons of dirt is way more than 5 gallons. In my defense, I have never had to go down there. They have started digging since I've been here, but everyone who works here knows that I could probably not make it very far with 5 gallons of dirt. So they asked me to sweep the rocks in the exit tunnel. The exit tunnel is made of rock. That is the actual job they gave me. It was a really interesting time. So, I do have another fun spirit story. This is actually my least favorite spirit in the cave just because she makes fun of the tour guides. What I mean by that is most people will actually see her on tours except for the tour guide. She's a lady in some 1800s clothing. And she'll be coming into this room and pointing at different images like I was, and then she'll point at us and laugh, and then she walks down that way, and no one sees her again. So everyone on the tour is like, where's that lady going? Why does she get to go that way? And we ignore you because we don't want to know that she was here. Because she makes fun of us. Alrighty. So, in just a moment I'm going to have to be going down those stairs just to see if we can go down there. But Virgil Williams discovered this next room in 1920s. He looked over at this wall and saw there's a lot of lines that follow down that way. Those lines meant that water was still flowing through here, and Virgil knew that, so he started to dig. As I said, it only took him 2 days. This next room has the longest set of stairs in the cave. Unfortunately, with everything going on, we can't offer those right now. I actually have no idea where the entrance to it is. I just know it's somewhere in here. So we do have a lot of formations in here. Any guesses why they're in here and they weren't in the other rooms?
A lot more space.
Not quite. It is another geological factor, but it doesn't have to do with this room itself. Any other guesses? It's actually because above ground where we are is flat. It's a meadow. So that water can get in here. So those other rooms, it was sloped and the water couldn't get through, but because water can get in here, we have these formations. Those are stalactites. Those form when that water gets through here and it leaves a calcite deposit. If the water were to reach the ground, it would form a stalagmite. You can remember those because stalactites hang tightly to the ceiling and stalagmites might trip you. On that side of the room, that is something called flowstone. Kind of looks like melted wax. That forms when water drips down a sloped surface and leaves a deposit along the way. But on that side of the room, there's a column. That happens when a stalactite and a stalagmite meet. Unfortunately, we only have one little column in our cave, and that one is not it. That one is cracked. A lot of people used to come through here, break apart formations to take with them as souvenirs. As I mentioned earlier, touching formations and breaking them apart will kill them. Those are dead formations, but we do still have some living in here. A lot of those closer to the ceiling are still alive, just because you can't reach them unless you're really precariously placed on a ladder. But that does mean they still drip, so if the cave were to drip on you, it's actually called the cave's kiss. Feels more like getting pooped on by a bird than a kiss. So if it feels like a bird pooped on you, it's just the cave. There's no birds.
That'll
Alright.
grow on it, right? And then it'll keep growing?
So it won't. It'd be really cool if it would, but it would only actually do that with the cave and everything. So whenever you guys are ready, you are going to be walking up those stairs, and you're going to go in a circle right up here. So you guys are making now. You're going that way. promise I'm not one of the people who can like pop their eyeballs out. That's too creepy. But I can do that. I can also do it with both arms. Or the other one.
You go to the cave tomorrow.
And then I can also do this.
Okay.
Okay, it's one back.
It's like growing up, everyone was like, can you help me zip my dress? And I was like, why don't you just do it yourself? Like I was really confused.